Hi there, welcome back to the 67 Heel Heel channel on YouTube. The kind of usual gang for the end of the week, an international break, but it's not going to stop us chatting about Celtic. We've got Euan and Pearse joining me, Hamish, on the channel. Right, guys, we're a couple of days late with this, but we're going to have a bit of a chat about the Dermot Desmond, the rather kind of bizarrely timed Dermot Desmond question and answer thing that just appeared dramatically on the Celtic website and social media channels. I think on Tuesday evening, we're going to go through, I think it's 7 or 8 questions he answered. We're going to go through them and have a bit of a chat about what we can take away from what was said. The first kind of question that was asked was the one that was probably most pertinent on Celtic fans' minds at the moment. When can we expect the appointment of a manager? Dermot Desmond's response was, as with any key appointment at Celtic, there is a process which involves research, investigation, interviewing and negotiation. This process is underway and is taking place privately, and when complete, the board will make a public announcement. So the process, Euan, research, investigation, interviewing, negotiation, did we get that with the last Celtic manager, or was it just a case of going into the shower and appointing him?
It was research as far as, looking to see who was already in the dugout and what their contract situation was. It was a joke. The whole thing was a joke. I mean, admittedly, Lennon did have a good interim spell and his first season was good, but everyone could tell a mile off. I don't know if it's just me being a pessimist, but I remember actually on the Scottish Cup final day in 2019, just that sort of euphoria turning into kind of everyone checking their phone and going, oh, like it was in the post. Judging by all the Roy Keane rumours, I think Dermot Desmond's research has gone as far as who is Irish and who can manage Celtic. That's my main kind of concern at the moment. I'm terrified about it. Genuinely terrified. So,
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Dermot Desmond was involved in that last managerial appointment. So was Peter Lawwell. I dare say Ian Bankier had something to do with it as well. And judging from the next reply or the next response from Dermot Desmond, those two, and also Ian Bankier, will take a lead in the process ahead of appointing the next manager. He also says the incoming CEO will also participate. Maybe I'm just reading too much into daft things, but I thought it was interesting he didn't use Dominic Mackay's name after using Ian Bankier and Peter Lawwell's name, but that's maybe just me being daft. Pearse, how do we feel about the fact that Peter Lawwell is going to be involved in appointing the next Celtic manager? Is that to be expected, or should he be staying as far away from that as possible?
I think it's to be expected because he has delivered success over his time at Celtic. Just obviously the past 12 months have been pretty difficult for him, but it's very similar to obviously when Sir Alex Ferguson left Man United. They're always kind of going to remain behind the scene in kind of decision making for the future, and obviously he's going to help and guide and assist Dominic Mackay in the role of appointing a new manager and with the director of football as well. So I kind of think it was kind of going to happen anyway, regardless.
This won't be a popular comment, but you could argue he's earned it. Like, he's been at the club an awfully long time. We've had a lot of success that he's been involved in. Whatever you think of his legacy, he is a incumbent and we need a manager right now. So the sort of, it kind of stands to reason that he would be involved. And his record's obviously so kind of hit and miss that you don't know what you're going to get with him anyway. So that's added to the constant speculation and being linked to every manager with a heartbeat at the moment.
I think it's one of the most interesting parts of Celtic at the moment is who is involved in that managerial process, and I know that Dermot Desmond is giving us an insight, a snapshot into what's going to be happening, but I just think there's so many more questions. Jackie always chats in the channel about everything Celtic do, whether it be press conferences or statements, they leave more questions than they do answers. Like, yet more questions are arise, and I think that's the case with this as well. I'm just left looking at that answer, and I'm asking myself, what kind of input is Peter Lawwell having? And if he's saying that Dominic Mackay, the incoming CEO, will also participate, what kind of input's he having? Because from what I understand, he's still going to be at Scottish Rugby until he joins Celtic at the very first day of July. So how can he be having an involvement in it while also being in that role at Scottish Rugby. And I'm just really interested to see, who has the biggest say in this, who gets the man that they want, and whether we ever actually find out, when the appointment comes in. It'll be Dominic Mackay probably sitting next to the new manager as opposed to Peter Law. But will we ever get to find out who got the final say and who had the biggest say in the appointment? It's definitely a real kind of grey area at Celtic. I just think the change should be happening much earlier. Peter Law shouldn't be waiting until the end of the season. It makes no sense for him to leave at the end of June when, that's when our new season starts effectively. It would make much more sense when we've got all this time now for him to just depart early and for Celtic to move heaven and earth to get Dominic Mackay in as soon as possible. Next question was, could you give us some idea of the type of candidate you're looking for? I'm not going to read out Dermot Desmond's answer because it was a load of crap here, but he said, he basically played it down and he spoke about the need to respect the privacy of potential candidates and the integrity of the process, whatever that means. Interestingly enough, he was then asked for his analysis of the season. He described this season as being extremely disappointing. He admitted the club have made some wrong calls, which he says they will learn from. I'm sure we'll hold them to that next season. Interesting bit of thought, he says, I'm quoting now, however, the conjecture coming from some journalists, commentators and pundits that they foresaw the outcome of this season is entirely disingenuous in my opinion. I thought it was interesting he left the fans out there because, a lot of us pretty much did predict it all after the Ferencvaros and Rangers defeats. Pearse, what did you make of those comments, kind of having a dig back at the likes of journalists, commentators and pundits?
It's going to be expected, to be fair, because this season Celtic have always kind of had a response, and obviously a negative one, towards anyone that has a say against the regime that's been going on this season, because most fans and pundits alike can easily see that this season was going wrong way before we took action. And obviously they're kind of trying to just kind of justify why they took so long, but there was no kind of time for that to happen. They should have done it a lot earlier. But obviously they're just kind of very defensive in the process that they're doing, and even now they're taking far too long to appoint a new manager. It should be kind of done and dusted.
One quite pointed comment he made, I thought, was saying critics are in no position to judge what they cannot see. What does that even really mean? What's the relevance there? Obviously people are going to criticise, and to be honest, we can see a lot of what's happened, but it certainly hasn't been good this season. He then paid tribute to Ian Bankier and Peter Law, and the final question was in terms of hopes for next season. This is quoting again from Dermot Desmond, that we recruit a manager that plays football the way all Celtic supporters want, and that we give that manager the time to implement their own plans. After that, I am sure much more success will follow. So what do we think this suggests about the next manager then, if anything, Pearse? Some people have been getting a bit worried about the prospect of Roy Keane coming in. I'm not sure I quite got that vibe from that statement, but some people have certainly, think that it maybe suggests that we could be going for someone like Roy Keane. How do you kind of feel about all that?
I feel as if the statement is very I think he had a big say in the asking of the questions, because I think a lot of them, they didn't really answer a lot of questions, only really difficult questions, and he actually just says that we want to play the Celtic way, give time to unemployment plans. Everyone knows this. Look, us as fans have been saying this for months. It's going to be a transitional season, but nobody, like Euan said at the start of the season, nobody knew it would be a terrible season. Well, they predicted it, obviously, with loans and stuff like that, but we should have prepared better. And speaking on Roy Keane, I wouldn't want him at all. I feel as if as a coach, he's done, but as a manager, it's been done a long time. And it's like going back to Martinelli, Gordon Strachan or Mick McCarthy. They're just aren't good enough with a young, up and coming manager that'll employ attacking football and sort that defence out.
Ewan, how do you feel about, not about Roy Keane being the Celtic manager, how do you feel about the rumours? Like, do you think there's a genuine chance of this, or are people just kind of convincing themselves of the worst case scenario from a lot of people's point of view?
See, the thing about this, right, is that if Dermot Desmond wanted to placate the supporters and, well, let's talk about playing the Celtic way and all that kind of thing, there would already be a denial from the club about appointing Roy Keane. If it's so kind of unpopular with supporters, surely they would come out and say, well, okay, no, we're looking for this kind of manager. We're looking for someone who can do X and Y, ruling out someone like Roy Keane, but it's just lip service until they actually deny it. And I've got a very, very strong negative feeling that it will be Roy Keane, who his last job in management was in 2011. And I think he left Ipswich after a run of 7 losses in 9 games. I could be wrong, but I think it's either 7-9 or 5-7. As Pearse says, he's been done as a manager for a long, long time. And just because Martin O'Neill likes him, it doesn't qualify him. Just because he's played for Celtic, it doesn't qualify him. And just because he's angry, it doesn't qualify him. There's nothing on his CV over the last decade that indicates he should be a top flight manager, let alone a Celtic manager.
I'm not a huge fan of the Roy Keane idea either. I'm probably not quite as down on it as you two are. I know that Jackie McNamara is certainly wouldn't be against the appointment. I know that John of this parish isn't as against it as me or any of you two either. So he clearly thinks that, you know, almost similarly to what's going on across the city, if you had Roy Keane as the figurehead of the club and then you had maybe a good coach and a good director of football around him, that it could work. But it's just going to be a tough one, I think, to sell to supporters. But just overall, like, has this Q&A changed anything for you, Pearse?
Absolutely not. I don't think it's changed anything. I think he just wanted to kind of break his silence and have his little say and give kind of supporters an update. And that was it, really, because I don't think it's not really changed anybody's minds or thought of the season or whatever. He just kind of stated the obvious.
I think if it's shown anything, it's that Dermot Desmond has a strange sense of humour. I think he was sitting in his office kind of writing questions to himself, a bit like, I don't know, kind of what I imagine, you know, like pop stars do in their way, sort of imagine getting interviewed by like Billboard or whoever, just like, so what do you think of this, Dermot? Well, Dermot, everyone's wrong apart from you, and everything you've done at Celtic has been right, and all the supporters who don't agree are simply wrong. Oh, great, Dermot, thank you for that. It's just very strange, very self-serving nonsense, and I think a lot of Celtic fans have seen right through it already.
See, just to finish this video, and just for me to play devil's advocate for a wee minute, some Celtic fans would maybe look at this and say, you have won every domestic trophy up until this season. You've won 9 league titles. You've gone through a crazy period of domestic dominance that's probably, well, it's not been seen at Celtic since the 60s or the early 70s. It is just one bad season. What would you say to that, Euan?
Yeah, but it's more about how fans have kind of been ignored over the last several years. There were a lot of kind of red flags on the way to this, and you know, to take the romance out of it slightly, you know, Celtic should have been winning all this. You know, from a financial standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, from every barometer of success, Celtic should have been winning all these trophies.
But we should have been winning every domestic trophy for 4 seasons, should we?
No, well, I think, you know, an argument can be made. I mean, obviously, it's a massive achievement, and I respect that, and I do. But I think in terms of the league specifically, like, you know, we've set ourselves up in the past via Dermot Desmond and folk like that, I'll admit, to make ourselves successful over a long period of time. I don't think that disqualifies any dissent about how things are now. And I don't think that means that Celtic fans should be kind of ignored on major issues. I think there should be more of a fan influence at the club. But I do understand your devil's advocate thing. It's possible that I'm just reading and entitled, so there's that. I mean,
it is much more than the results on the pitch, though, isn't it? It's the fact that I saw Celtic posted a video yesterday, and they had a fact in it that Celtic were, or however they worded it, that Celtic sold, I think, 53,000 season tickets last year, and of all the clubs in Europe, that was the most season tickets that were sold for the fans to then just get a pass to watch the games. I think I can only assume that, you know, clubs that sold more season tickets didn't do season tickets last season or whatever. But that was quite a jarring statistic. And then when you add that into the fact that the fans have just been completely, you know, palmed off by the board this season, we've been just ignored. That's probably what it comes down to, Pearse, more than the results themselves, just the general, you know, way we've been treated by the likes of Desmond and Peter Law this season.
For me, it kind of goes a wee bit deeper than that. I think it goes with like transfers. Like, I feel as if like it all went wrong once we started letting players like Scott Sinclair go for nothing, Johnny Hayes away for nothing, Joseph Simunovic, players like that, players that are squad players, even Mikael Lustig, like when Dedrick Bayat, I know he went away, but players like that, like we didn't really replace them. That's the thing. We got loan signings in to replace them, and like everyone's seen at the start of the season that we only had Mikey Johnson, who's out injured. We only had Elyounoussi and James Forrest, and then he got injured early on, and then we didn't have any right winger, so we're putting Ryan Christelle season out of position, and he's been god awful. So with that, I feel as if that's kind of one of the catalysts and one of the main downfalls for not kind of identifying things sooner to help us out for the rest of the season, because it's a long season, 3 competitions, and then you've got your European competition, which obviously we didn't prepare, and that kind of was, I think, one of the main downfalls of our season.
Right, we'll leave it there then, guys. I've enjoyed the chat again. We'll have far more in the coming weeks and months. Euan, sorry, did you have something else to say?
I just wanted to exhale. I got very angry there.
It's been there's been a lot of exhaling going on this season. Less hailing and more exhaling. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, now is the perfect time to do it. We are motoring through the 11,000s. We're going to get close to 12,000, I think, by the end of the month. Help us get there, and we'll be forever grateful. Take care, everyone. See you later.